Welcome everyone. Here are Team AECOM presenting you with our productivity improvement study. The information and analysis included in this presentation is a combined work from everyone within Team AECOM, but I will walk you through everything that we found in our study for the purpose of consistency. The construction site the team chose to observe and study is the Tony and Liberal Rain Culinary Science Center. It is 142,135 square feet combined academic, instructional, and laboratory facility for the Hospitality Management Program in Auburn University in Alabama. The university's Board of Trustees approved the project at a budget of $110 million in the spring of 2019 as to be one of the most interesting and exciting culinary education center in America. The project started construction in April 2020 and is expected to open in spring 2021, but the construction may continue until spring 2022. The picture above are the location of the building and its rendering image. The construction operations on Tony and Liberal Rain Culinary Science Center site were studied through a live construction site camera provided by CamStreamer and Auburn University Facilities Management's YouTube channel. The live camera stream provides the current situation of the job site and is able to track back to the last 12 hours. On the day of observation, April 20, 2020, from 10:10 to 11:10 a.m., an hour-long observation window. The activity on site were mainly site excavations. Excavation is the process of moving earth, rock, and other materials with tools, equipment, or explosives to create trenches, shafts, and tunnels. The process is also useful to level ground and prepare working surfaces on the site. Excavator, backhoe, or hoe is a power-driven digging machine. It is built to simply duplicate the motion of a worker digging with a hand shovel. Hydraulic excavators are the most common type of excavators on job sites because of their fast cycle time, high bucket penetrating force, digging precision, and easy to operate. Excavator productivity is mainly determined by the volume, depth, and hardness of the material. Tough materials such as clay and rock will significantly reduce all the production factors, thus decrease productivity rate. Other activities that were occurring alongside excavation on the day of observation were loading and hauling. The process of transporting materials from one place to another place can be separated into 6 components: hauling, dumping, returning, spotting, which is moving the equipment into position to begin loading, and delaying. All of these activities combined together makes one complete production cycle. While the time spent in spotting, loading, maneuvering, and dumping are considered fixed times, the time spent traveling from one spot and return varies as it depends on the vehicle or equipment capacity, road conditions, and grades. Front loaders were used in this case. The weather at the Tony and Liberal Rain Culinary Science Center construction site seems to be dry and sunny with some clouds in the sky. Nonetheless, it was a good weather condition for outdoor works, particularly earth-moving operation. The construction began in the beginning of April 2020. Thus, the project was still at the early stage. The site was being leveled to prepare for working surfaces. 4 excavators, 2 compact excavators, 3 front loaders, and 1 lattice crane were observed at the construction site. However, only 2 excavators, 2 front loaders, and 1 compact excavators and later a truck were under operation during the observation window. As observed from the recorded site camera, a front loader and 1 excavator were excavating, loading, and hauling some spoils in the middle of the site. Cycles of activity were repeating until 10:30 a.m. when a dump truck arrived. The excavator stopped working and moving off-site. Then the second activity started. A compact excavator loaded steels on the dump truck for 20 minutes. After all the steels were loaded, the truck then again left off-site. Then there were no activity occurring on the site for a while until 10:45 a.m. when cycles of excavating, loading, and hauling were performed by the same set of equipment but at different spots on the site, this time at the right corner of the site camera. The cycle of activity was repeating until 11 a.m. when we stopped observing the site. To analyze the problem, our team breaks down the activity using a crew balance chart and also shows the workflow with a process chart. Based on the observation of video, the flow diagram and process chart are shown above and were created for each activity, which simplifies the construction flow and increases the visibility. All the charts represent for a standard cycle of the activity. Since the video did not clarify who is supervising each activity, there is no inspection in the process chart. A crew balance chart is shown as a table with columns being crew members or pieces of equipment, and the rows are activities and their associated time intervals. Typically, the time shown next to the activity is the end time of the activity, and as you progress down the table, time accumulated. This allows the person analyzing the chart to have a full understanding of the time lapse for the completed activity. A crew balance chart is a great way to understand how different crew members and pieces of equipment work together on the project. This is because every crew member is plotted against the same time. So there is a representation of all productive activities as well as idle time for every component of the project. From the 1 hour long observation period, we noticed 3 different activities being completed. Within these 3 activities, tasks were being done in order to reach the goal of the activity. So these tasks were recorded and assigned a time based on the length they took to finish the task. The first activity involves the operation of an excavator and a front loader. This activity may break down to load spoils into front loader using the excavator. Front loader transports spoils, and the excavator moves to the new location. The entire cycle time for this activity is 32 minutes. The current problem is the presence of multiple idle periods, which is a time waste in construction. Our team proposed 3 different approaches that may be implemented to improve the productivity of this crew, and I will introduce the solutions individually. The second activity is very simple: loading steels and transport debris as shown in the crew balance chart above. Due to the simplicity of this activity, our team believed that this is the best sequence for the construction team to perform the task, and it has a cycle time of 12 minutes. The last activity that our team observed at the construction site involves 4 pieces of equipment, an excavator and 3 dump trucks. This activity is about loading and unloading the stone arrived from the outside source. It has a cycle time of 29 minutes. One proposal was made for this activity that may increase the productivity tremendously and decrease the labor unit cost. This is the proposal for improvement with Activity 1. Here we replace the front loader with the dump truck, which is more flexible in moving around. This activity may shrink the cycle time down to 10 minutes with details shown in the crew balance chart. To execute this alternative, a crew with a medium-sized dump truck and a medium-sized excavator is needed. For a typical cycle, the excavator excavates soils and then loads it into the truck until it's full. After that, the loader goes to the dumping spot and returns to the excavation spot after dumping the soil. Using the reference from the RS means, we found that performing work in such a way may have productivity of 37 cubic yards per hour and labor unit cost of $3.74 per cubic yard. The second approach to improve the performance of Activity 1 are shown here. We added another excavator to decrease the cycle time. To execute this alternative, a crew with 1 medium-sized loader and 2 small-sized excavator is needed. For a typical cycle, the excavator, which are positioned within 2 operating radius, excavate soil and then load it into the loader that is parking in the middle of the 2 excavators. The loader leaves for dumping after it's full. Then it returns to the excavation spot after soil is dumped. If the crew is performing work like this, they may find their productivity to be 25 cubic yards per hour and labor unit cost to be $5.79 per cubic yard. The last approach for Activity 1 includes the collaboration of 2 excavators and 2 front loaders. To execute this alternative, a crew with two small-sized loaders and two small-sized excavators is needed. For a typical cycle, each excavator, which is paired with one loader respectively, excavates soil along the working surface and then loads it into the loader that is parked next to it. Each loader leaves for dumping after it's full. Then it returns to its excavator after soil is dumped. With this work sequence, the productivity of the crew is 34.29 cubic yard per hour, and the labor unit cost is $4.40 per cubic yard. Proposal number 4 was made to improve the workflow of Activity 4. The original crew used 1 excavators and 3 dump trucks in the most inefficient way. Here we propose to use only 2 dump trucks and 1 excavator, but to operate in a more efficient manner. To execute this alternative, a crew with 2 medium-sized excavators and 2 small-sized dump trucks is needed. For a typical cycle, the excavator excavates soil from the utility trench and then loads it into the dump truck that's parked next to it. When one truck leaves for dumping after it's full, the other gets into the position for dumping stones and positions itself for receiving soil. Then it leaves when the other one returns with gravel. With this work sequence, we may find productivity to be 21.82 cubic yard per hour and labor unit cost to be $4.88 per cubic yards. In conclusion, not all construction sites would operate under the maximum productivity. Therefore, there are always spaces for improvement. If the crew is performing repetitive works, then we can analyze their productivity and labor unit costs. By rearranging some of the work sequence or utilizing a bit more equipment, Team AECOM is able to yield a higher productivity and a lower labor unit cost for the crew. For the activity that involves an excavator and a front loader, Team AECOM proposed 3 different approaches that can be implemented at the real construction site to the benefit of the construction company. We also noticed the inefficiency in the workflow when a crew was performing works with 1 excavator and 3 dump trucks. By reducing the need for 1 truck and placing the activities in orders, we utilized the time much better and therefore increased productivity. This project is a wonderful case study that allows team members to notice the imperfection at the construction site and implements our knowledge to help improve the crew's productivity.